guess the reason I started Anapast was because I realized I was writing new music at a pace that it didn't make sense to rush my other band members to keep up with, but I was still invested in the new material and I wanted to get it out. And I wanted to get it out while it was fresh, so I didn't want to just have it sitting on the back burner for years or whatever. So it made sense to start my own little outlet, and that's I guess how it got started. Very much oriented towards putting out as much music as possible. I guess, of course, that's changed a bit as it's since become my only project. Now I'm reaching a point where I don't have any old stuff written anymore sitting on the back burner. This new record that I'm putting out, this is the newest shit I've got, you know, there's nothing else cooking. At this point, I guess I'm willing to take my time and slow things down. A lot of the time when I'm writing a new song, it'll start with the words, which is a bit weird. I never used to write the lyrics first. Usually I would write them last. I would start with a melody or a beat idea, but more and more over time, and I haven't planned this, my music has started to take on a bit more of a narrative quality. Usually it'll be a lyric or a vocal hook that comes into my mind first, and the rest of the music just kind of writes itself, stemming out from that almost. It's like, you know, I'll know based on the vocal accents where the drum accents need to be. I'll build the beat around that. And sometimes I end up writing the riffs last, and because of that, the sound of my music has definitely changed a little bit on this latest record. Yeah, I don't really know how things happen that way. I guess maybe I just got bored of doing things the same way all the time and wanted to switch it up. But whether consciously or subconsciously, that's one shift that I've noticed in my creative process. A lot of the time in an Anapast song, I'm addressing some sort of duality, two opposing forces that are in a tenuous state of balance. This latest record, especially, I've noticed as a recurring theme, the struggle between the desire to succumb to defeat and the will to live and to press on, despite everything. On older records, I guess the same struggle was present. You know, this has always been, in a lyrical sense, I guess, a project about moving forward, about trying to stay alive, you know, which I guess is kind of the major issue that occupies my mind most of the time. So that makes sense. So I get bored very easily. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music, and I like to make the kind of music I want to hear. Every record I've made as Anapast has been, I'd say, musically quite different. You know, each time I went in feeling kind of inspired by a sort of specific sound or flavor that I was deeply exploring at the time. You know, for Forlorn, I was really into black metal when I wrote all of those songs. Something Is Afoot, I was really into the trashy, like 2006 to 2011 metalcore, transcore, deathcore shit. And for this latest record, Dark Arms Reach Skyward with Bone White Fingers, I was really into the filthy side of where hardcore and metal come together. You know, the grind, the mathcore, the screamo, the sort of less technically precise, locked to the grid kind of styles of music. I wanted to explore a different kind of heavy, and I wanted to explore a kind of heavy that was detached from easy breakdowns, because that's a trap I realize I've fallen into a lot in the past. It's just, I love me those 0, 0, 0s, you know? But I wanted to avoid that this time around. Getting back to the question, every record I've ever made sounds quite different, but for this latest record, I would describe it as having a foreground of grindcore mathcore and technical death metal, and undertones of like slam, progressive metal, and a little bit of screamo. I don't even know what I would be doing because music has been my main focus for such a long time. I have been working on a game design project for quite some time. I won't say much more about it. It's like a long-term project and I'm not even in the thick of it yet, but I imagine if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably be spending more time on that. I used to write a lot. That kind of took a bit of a backseat when I started making music. I guess I channeled that into lyric writing more than anything. But I have a couple discarded novel ideas floating around. I'm pretty sure I would have stuck to one of them. Really depends for what project, you know, at what point would I have opened for them, you know? Oh gosh. I'm a huge fan of No One Knows What the Dead Think. They're a grindcore 3-piece featuring 2 members of Discordance Axis, a band who I basically worshipped when I was in the early stages of writing my latest record. Opening for them would be a total dream. I really like Aborted. I've always loved Aborted. It would be fucking sick to open for them. And of course, Ingested or Vulvodynia, which would be perfect being as, you know, the lead singers from both of those bands are featured on my latest record. It was very important for me to have the chance to play music with other people. Not just for the purpose of like improving your chops, because, you know, absolutely you do improve as a musician when you're playing with other musicians and getting tight together. You know, there's nothing that can replace that kind of practice, the practice that you share with others. I think the most important thing was the human connection. I love these people, and these people are to this day still, you know, some of my closest friends. The different ideas coming together in a space and macerating together, you know, usually our coolest songs came out of that kind of synergy when it happened. It didn't always happen, you know, usually we were each just writing our own shit and convening with our notes, but the few times things did really spark and something came out of it, it was always really fucking cool. And I think having that experience was totally invaluable, and I don't think I would have nearly as much to offer to my listeners or followers or the world as a solo artist if I had not had that formative experience in a band context. One thing I think I can offer that rings true no matter what the outside context is this. You've got to love it. You've got to be making music because your heart is in it. If you're doing what you do for any other reason, you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna compromise the quality of what you're producing. It's gonna show through no matter what. You know, at the end of the day, you have to be prepared to accept the fact that you are going to put in so many more hours into your craft when you're starting out than you'll ever earn back. It has to be a labor of love. You have to love it, otherwise you'll give up, you'll stop, you know? But I think there's a blessing that comes there, and that's that you'll know from the very moment you start whether you love it or not. And just trust your heart. If you know that this is for you, do what you have to do to make it work for you. Never force yourself to become something that you're not for others. And if I was to offer one other message, it would be just to love yourself. Simple as that.